Happy Friday. This is gonna be part 2 of What If Naruto Went Rogue, and let's get into it. So, after a couple of missions with the group, Naruto has gotten stronger, and he has gotten a better grasp on Kisame's moves. So, he challenges him, and Kisame accepts this challenge. So they would stand staring at each other for a couple of seconds before Naruto bolts at Kisame. When he gets in front of Kisame, he would duck under a punch and then jump up, trying to deliver a powerful uppercut. Kisame would step back and then kick Naruto in the gut, sending him flying. Naruto was able to do a handspring off the ground, landing on a tree and pushing himself off of the tree back at Kisame. And his attack was successful as he managed to scratch Kisame's arm pretty badly. And then he would land on the ground using one of his hands to slow down his sliding. And then he would begin to start running after Kisame once more, as he would pull out a kunai and throw it before waving hand signs and yelling out, Shadow Clone. Oh wait, what was that called again? I can't remember what it was called. Hold up. My bad. It was shuriken. So Naruto would throw a shuriken, wave some hand signs, and yell out, Shadow Clone. I forgot it again. Hold up. Shuriken Shadow Clone Jutsu. As the shuriken would expand into many more, and Kisame would be forced to jump in the air, which left him vulnerable to Naruto's attacks. So Naruto would spring up to the sky, meeting Kisame, and they would have an airborne battle. Kisame doing pretty well at blocking Naruto's attacks, and Naruto being able to block Kisame's. But then Naruto would wave some hand signs, and he would yell out Gale Palm as wind would build from his hands, and it would be launched, sending Kisame flying. Kisame would hit the ground, making a crack, as he would then roll back to his feet and jump at Naruto, using Samehada and swinging at full force at Naruto's chest, sending him into the ground. And before Naruto could get up, he would bury his foot deep into Naruto's stomach, and this would knock Naruto out. Since he didn't really care for the boy, he would leave him lying there. But he would also leave a sword. He left the sword because the only way he says the only way Naruto could beat him is if he had one. And he would have to use it to become a great swordsman. And he would just leave. Itachi would find Naruto laid out on the ground, and he would pick him up. And while he was picking him up, Naruto would wake up. So he would end up just putting him back down, and Naruto would stand on his own 2 feet. Naruto would then see the sword and pick it up, as he kind of knows it was for him. Then he would stare at Itachi and ask Itachi to make him stronger. Itachi would then say, "We don't have time for training. You have a mission." Naruto would look up and want to know what was the mission. The mission was Naruto had to infiltrate the leaf, going undercover as a student. And Naruto would be kind of hesitant, as he ran away from the leaf for a reason. But he decides he'll take on the mission. Since he kind of doesn't really have a choice. As soon as Naruto would get there, he would be stopped by Team 7. Well, Naruto would be stopped by Kakashi, Sasuke, and Sakura, as they haven't had a chance to put someone else, we'll get someone else in the picture. And somehow they still miraculously pass the bell test because Sakura gets tied up and Sasuke, out of pity, gave her some of his food. So they ended up passing. And Naruto would stand staring at Kakashi and Sasuke, wanting to figure out who was gonna attack first so he can be ready. And it was Sasuke. Sasuke would start running at Naruto, and Kakashi would yell out no, for the reason Kakashi's trying to be cautious because he sees the Akatsuki robe around Naruto's waist. But it was kind of too late, as Sasuke would try to kick Naruto in the face, and Naruto would block it with his arm guard before punching Sasuke in the chest and then uppercutting him into the air. But before he can fly any higher, Naruto would jump up, grab his legs, and start spinning rapidly like a wheel, launching Sasuke back into the ground, just slamming his back straight onto the ground. This leaves Sasuke out cold, and Sakura could be heard yelling as she would run at Naruto with a kunai. Naruto would dodge out of the way before kicking her towards Kakashi. Kakashi would then catch Sakura and get ready to fight Naruto. And Naruto would say, "What's your deal? I belong here. Don't you see the headband?" And they were looking for a while. They seen it. They were like, "Who are you?" Naruto would then announce himself as Naruto Uzumaki. And Kakashi knows who Naruto is. And so does Sasuke and Sakura. And Sasuke would be dumbfounded, as when he last seen Naruto, Naruto was weaker than him. And Sakura, kind of for the same reasons, and because he looks different. He has a more terrifying look to him. And Kakashi knows he ran away a while ago, but no one really looked for him because villagers didn't really like him, and Hiruzen, quote unquote, didn't have time. So Naruto would be taken to the Hokage's office by Sasuke and Kakashi. And once they got there, they would tell Hiruzen who Naruto was. And in the midst of this little meeting, Hiruzen would ask Naruto how he got the robe anyway. And this would make Naruto panic, as he's already about to blow his cover. And Naruto says, "Well, while I was gone, there was some dead man. He was wearing this cloak and it got really cold that night, so I decided to put it on." And Hiruzen would then reply with, "Then why do you not wear the top part correctly?" "Part of my training," Naruto would say, "as I have to be able to adapt to all weathers." It's a great lie, he would think to himself. And he would just continue on. And after this meeting, Naruto would be put on Team 7. And this is after the Land of Waves arc. And before the tuning exams. So he's come right in the middle. Oh, well, and While Naruto is waiting for the tuning exams to start, he remembers a scroll he once came upon during a mission with Itachi and Kisame. It was a summoning scroll, and it taught him how to do the summoning jutsu. And Naruto would do the summoning jutsu, but since he has no contract, he would be sent to the spirit world, as it's called. And as soon as he would get wherever he was, he would look around to see it was an island with a bunch of mountains and nothing else in sight, just surrounded by water. And he would see a bright light in the corner of his eye, turn around, draw his sword, and block an incoming attack from a knight in all white armor with long hair. This knight would then continue swinging his sword at Naruto. Naruto would keep blocking his attacks before the knight could be heard to say, "Dragon style, dragon whip," as his hair would harden like metal spikes, and he would swing it towards Naruto. Naruto would then use his arm guard that was enhanced with chakra to block the attack. So while his dragon whip attack was strong, it was only able to cut the handguard and not slice straight through it. And then Naruto would punch the dragon swordsman in his chest before following up with a kick to the face. This would send the dragon swordsman flying, but then he would stop himself by sticking his sword in the ground. Naruto had already appeared in front of him at this time, and he could hear the swordsman mutter some words. It sounded like he said "outburst," as he began to feel this terrifying aura that it just stopped Naruto in place for a moment. But then he brought himself back to his senses as we see the dragon swordsman swing his sword. Naruto was able to duck under it, and then he would pull out his sword once more and try to slash upward. The dragon swordsman was able to block the attack, and then they would both jump back, powering up, putting all their chakra into this last attack. But then, as soon as they were about to clash, they would hear a loud voice tell them to stop. And they would both stop dead in their tracks. Naruto would hear wings. Well, not wings. He would hear something flying through the clouds. As when he would look up, he would see a large red dragon with mighty golden horns. He assumes that this is the voice that he had heard, and he was right. The dragon would begin to speak to him. He would say, "You look like you are in need of training." And Naruto would nod his head, and the dragon would continue, "Your technique is unrefined. I don't know who taught you how to use a sword, but they need to do much better. I will take you under my wing. But before you can train with me, you must be able to beat the Shadow Dragon. A dragon that has installed fear into many of the humans' hearts to the point where they won't even use us dragons as summonings anymore. They fear making contracts with us, as he will only cooperate with a ninja that has beaten him before. But until then, you cannot make a contract with me, but I will allow you to make a contract with rouge, the dragon swordsman that you have fought just now. He admires your technique. Not in sword fighting, just in fighting in general. As I said before, your sword skills are unrefined. Now, go." As Naruto would go on to find this shadow dragon, Naruto would be in a dark cave, his senses all at their peak, as he would then hear breathing behind him and rapid footsteps. And Naruto would turn around and punch into the darkness, and his hand hit something. It was the dragon. Its white glowing eyes would stare into Naruto's. And they would lock eyes. As Naruto knows this fight is going to be troublesome, he would then go into the QB influence, needing an extra boost in speed. And he would launch himself at the dragon, punching it in its nose before speeding down the side of its body. And when he got to the tail, he would grab hold of it and slam the dragon repeatedly into each side of the ground. Then the dragon would start breathing in, and Naruto knew he was preparing for something, as the dragon would yell out shadow breath, as dark flames would shadow's breath, as dark flames would be sent at Naruto's way. And Naruto, seeing no way out of this since they're in a cave, he would then use a one-tail cloak to absorb the flames. And the flames were so hot that they were still able to burn Naruto a little bit, but the one-tail cloak was able to absorb most of it. And it would give this black tint around the cloak, but Naruto wouldn't care at the moment, as he would rush towards the dragon, slashing him on his snout before kicking his snout upward, and he would repeatedly punch the throat of the dragon. It was armored, but his punches were strong enough so the dragon could feel his punches. And then Naruto would pull out a kunai and slash the side of the dragon's body before jumping on top of the dragon's back and using his foot to stomp on the back of the dragon's head and planting it in the ground. The dragon was amazed by Naruto's power, so the dragon chooses to comply. And Naruto would make a contract with the dragon. Naruto would leave the spirit world as he would hear a knock on his door. It would be Sasuke. Sasuke wants to train with him, but Naruto declines this offer. So I'm gonna leave it off. Leave this off here. Other than that, peace.